Alright, ready?
Kayfabe Gimmicks! You know where to find us on Facebook. We're on YouTube. Fiction Entertainment, brother. YouTube. Fiction Entertainment, brother. YouTube.
Fucking #1 Kayfabe Gimmicks podcast ever. So.
How are you looking for?
Put words in the wrong place.
Are you recording all this, dude? The best wrestling podcast that's always been.
What you gonna do, brother, when the beast starts talking about wrestling and drinking whiskey and it's all crazy up in here?
Welcome to Kayfabe Gimmicks. This is sNooVa, and today my dad, Ruff Lee, is going to teach me how to fly a kite.
No. You learned that long ago, but not from me.
I definitely have not learned how to fly a kite.
You haven't?
No.
That's pretty sad at your age. How are you supposed to show your kids how to if you don't know how to?
We live in Florida. I don't know if flying a kite's really a thing.
I always fly kites at the beach.
I mean, I don't know, man. When I was a kid, I don't know anybody who flew a kite.
Yeah, you were probably just stuck in a screen with video games, kind of like now.
No, my parents did not let me play video games when I was a kid, so fuck you very much.
Let me
Nobody
take
flew
a proper
kites.
introduction for myself. Ladies and
Okay.
gentlemen, my name is Ruff Lee, and I am the advocate for women's wrestling at Kayfabe Gimmicks. And I get to say that not just because I'm a fan of the current crop, but because I have been a fan since the original broadcasts of Glow, and I am very proud of what this episode is about. Today we are discussing the Mae Young Classic, and it's been a long time coming, especially for a fan of women's wrestling like myself. And it's amazing when you look at this roster and see how much of names that we know from other places if you've been a fan of women's wrestling. Would you say so?
I definitely agree with you. I do.
I mean, we have 32 competitors from 13 countries. That's what they've been selling it from. But what you're looking at is people who have either competed in or are current members of Shine, Shimmer, Chikara, Japan, Eve. We've got people from MMA. We've got powerlifters. We've got people from WSU, which is a great company. They've been pushing it for a long time. We have people from Lucha Libre. It's just really amazing when you see people who have been in the business, who have been working this for as much as 20 years.
Oh, yes. I definitely do agree. Look, there's a few things I want to obviously talk about today. A few things. Starting off, let's go ahead. I'm going to take it back almost 2 whole years now. When you were at the debut of the Women's Revolution.
Absolutely. It happened in Atlanta. And I was excited to be there, and it was completely unexpected to me. But Stephanie McMahon came out to confront Paige, who said that there was nothing going on. In fact, she even called out Natalia at the time, and she said, "Are you even working here anymore?" Which is really surprising looking at the events of the past couple weeks. But anyway, the reason why we're bringing this up is what seemed like a lame angle at the time is relevant to the show that I was at, because there was a match between Mickie James and Emma, and the stipulation was that if Emma won, that no one could shut her up and say that she started the women's revolution. And with that victory, we have an open doorway, because I am telling you that Paige was the one who started it with Stephanie. Which means that if Emma is running her mouth about this, expect to see Paige. It's going to happen. It's going to happen.
So it is. There's a few things here. Now, obviously, we have our big thing we're going to talk about today, being the Mae Young Classic. I'm sure you're all excited to hear our thoughts on these 32 competitors. And we also got something else I want to talk about tonight, which is going to be 205 Live. I just watched the latest episode of 205 Live. I know, big surprise. I woke up, it was on. Kind of seems like a weird choice. You know, we don't talk very fondly about 205 Live around here. Mainly because 205 Live suffers from a problem. And I think I've locked onto what that problem is. And it all started with the Cruiserweight Classic. Because this is, again, the Mae Young Classic. And what we're talking about here is a series of unfortunate events. We're talking about similarities, and there are some similarities between the both. Now, without getting into spoilers, because spoilers exist, there are two very different things. They are. And yet they both seemed booked rather badly. TJ Perkins was the obvious winner as soon, and I say as soon as you saw the original bracketology for the Cruiserweight Classic. The bracketology gave it away. As soon as you saw TJ Perkins and heard his horrible story about how he lived in his car, you just knew he was going over. It was him, or it's going to be one of the NXT guys. And I feel like that was the exact same way I came into the Mae Young Classic too, without going into spoilers. I actually see a resemblance to Glow in the opening to the Mae Young Classic, where we like to go to Lacey Evans at the end of it. She is Miss All-America. And we showcase her at the end of every opening to the Mae Young Classic.
Yeah.
Now, the thing about it, and the thing about the Cruiserweight Classic that made it work, which we're going to get into a little bit tonight, is when the Cruiserweight Classic ended, it was all pre-taped just like the Mae Young Classic. However,
Okay.
it was a 2-hour live finale. Did you know that?
Yeah, I remember that.
And in that 2-hour finale, you had both the semifinals and the finals. Okay?
Okay.
You're not going to get that this year. You're not going to get that.
What are they doing with this one?
On July 13th through the 14th, they taped the round of 32, the round of 16, the quarterfinals, and the semifinals. All of them. So certain people had 3 matches on July 14th. So you're just going to get the finals. And I think one of the most interesting things about watching a tournament is watching somebody do multiple matches in a night. But you're not going to get to see that this year.
Right.
Not really. That's not how this works. So I feel like that's a negative right off the get.
Let's talk about another negative since we're here anyway.
Uh-huh.
The first 4 episodes of the Mae Young Classic dropped on Monday. 4 episodes is a lot to ask of subscribers to watch.
Well, to put that into some sort of perspective, tonight episode 3 debuted on their TV programming version of the network right after NXT. And then they replayed last night's 205 Live, which is how I watched 205 Live.
Okay.
I am caught up through this. Back to 205 Live. I love Jack Gallagher. I do. I really love Grand Metalik. I like Brian Kendrick. I'm positive on Cedric Alexander.
Yeah.
Tony Nese is a great heel. I like Drew Gulak. I don't give a shit about Noam Dar. I don't know why the hell they ever have him wrestle on Raw. I don't mind Tozawa. I don't mind Neville. there is some talent in this roster for 205,
There is.
which is part of where the confusion comes in. One of the worst things, though, at one point during last night's episode, Tony Nese is like, I'm the best of the cruiserweights. And I mean, I'm sorry, I don't feel like you need to say they're cruiserweights on 205 Live.
Well, it is listed as.
Huh?
It's the 205 belt is the Cruiserweight Championship.
Yeah. But you don't have to say we are cruiserweights every 5 minutes.
We're a Cruiserweight League.
Exactly, like, that's not needed. Can't they just be wrestlers?
I kind of gotta agree with you there. I mean, because Finn Balor.
Definitely falls in the cruiserweight category.
He's a $175. There's no way that you're ever going to say that he's a heavyweight. So, you're right. They can just be wrestlers if he can be a Universal Champion.
Exactly. I agree with you. So, I mean, I think that's where my issue with the whole cruiserweight thing is at right now. And I don't know. I just kind of wanted to bring it up.
That they're always selling themselves as cruiserweights, or what?
Well, just like the whole thing of the show. Like, there are people who are good on there. And there's things about how it works that work, but I don't know. Like, they need to do something. Maybe they'd get better numbers.
It's always a matter of where are they trying to go from this,
I really feel like the best thing we ever came up with was go ahead and start SmackDown at 7 o'clock with 205 Live.
I'm completely there.
I'm there too, because if you don't want to watch it, you don't have to. But if you decide, hey, I'm bored and you want to turn it on, it's there. And I'd rather start earlier than later.
I still feel like it's a little bit ridiculous for them to expect the audience to stick around for 205 Live.
Well, you're looking at it wrong. We're not expecting you to stick around. We're expecting you to turn off your TV, turn on your PlayStation 4, turn on your Roku device, and switch over to the WWE Network to watch 205 Live. And that's why people aren't watching it.
Right. Not going to happen.
We've talked about those numbers in the past. In other news, Enzo has debuted a new finisher. He calls it the Jordenzo?
Jordenzo.
Or the Jawdenzo?
Okay.
It's an inverted stomp face breaker. And why I bring that up is he basically puts you in an ankle lock, or a wrist lock, puts his foot against your side of your head, and then falls backwards, forcing your face into his foot. Gail Kim used to use it, called it Eat Defeat. Xavier Woods uses it, calls it Lost in the Woods.
It was called an Eat Defeat at the Mae Young Classic.
And it's used a lot in the Mae Young Classic, I can tell you, in those first 4 episodes, by multiple people. But that's what we're here to discuss today, so let's do it. Go ahead. Where do you want to start this conversation, Ruff?
Where do I want to start this? So many superstars from places that we know. So many superstars from. The opening match, Princess Suhei.
Now she has 20 years of experience. I want to throw that out there.
Yeah. Kaylee Ray, she started in ICW in 2011. She went to Shimmer and Shine in 2014, and she went to TNA as well. So she's been a little bit everywhere, and she's someone who we definitely know anyway. And then Princessa Suhei, like you said, 21 years. And in Lucha Libre from 2005, so 12 years there. She's not the smallest girl, but boy, one thing I do have to stress when we're talking about this, we are not talking people who are amateurs at all. I'm not just talking about their experience. I have seen nothing but clean performances throughout this, and the audience appreciates it. Part of why I was excited for the Women's Revolution was because of how strong it was over in NXT, and the audiences there appreciated it too. Whether you were a heel or a face, the NXT audiences are wrestling fans. And if you are competing, technically, you are getting recognized on both ends. And we saw that all the way through the matches that are happening in Mae Young Classic.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I agree with you.
So I'm excited to see where they go beyond this, because we've got definite wrestling fans. If they keep it at the Performance Center, I think we have the makings of another great show. Who knows what that means as far as women's wrestling in NXT. But I seriously doubt that we're going to get that kind of luxury, because there are so many people who are still signed elsewhere.
Oh, yeah, there's definitely, like, this is an interesting one, because there's a lot of signed talent right now, or champions in other promotions. And I felt like that was really new and really different. So we're going to see how that goes and what that does.
How they managed to get the clearances for that
and
without
it should
them
be
bringing up their
think.
other promotions. But we're not here to discuss what happens in the matches. You can find out from the matches by either watching yourself or going to other pages. I'd rather talk about things that we're seeing in there. I know what I want to talk about. Abby Lath. Abby Lath. If you don't know her name, it's because you've seen her elsewhere, if you have, as Kimberly. She's been one of the big mover and shakers in Shine and Shimmer.
And motherfucking Shikara, where she was a actual Shikara Grand Champion and wrestled men numerous occasions.
Yes.
I just want to throw that out there.
One of the things that
whole match.
One of the things we're pushing about her is that she's got Mae Young's alligator clutch. So whether or not she wins this, that's a part of her program, at least.
I'm going to put it to you like this. Abby Lath is, for all intents and purposes, if you ask me, Abby Lath versus, she fights Jazzy Gabbert.
Yeah.
It is everything that the Nia Jax matches should have been.
Absolutely. I mean, we've got a huge German, a complete powerhouse that can just stomp over practically anybody. And Jazzy's got speed to go with the size.
And I love that about it. She was a champion multiple times in Stardom. She's even done MMA, and she even was on Impact Wrestling a few years ago. And I thought their whole match was great, dude. Top notch. A1.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's one of the best tellings of a David versus Goliath match I've seen in a long ass time. And I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to skip way ahead in the course of the Mae Young Classic, because I know you didn't watch the whole thing yet. I know not everybody has gotten a chance to watch the whole thing yet, especially with how it went down and how it just randomly popped up, and it was kind of obnoxious. But holy shit, the other match that kind of falls in that category for me, it involves the first ever Indian female, Kavita Devi. She's trained by the Great Khali.
Yeah, I haven't got to see that
match.
yet.
It comes on later on, man. And she fights, of all people, the New Zealander, Dakota Kai.
Oh.
And for somebody trained by the Great Khali, they put on a fucking story, dude. I'm gonna tell you that much. It's well worth watching.
That is awesome to hear. I mean, Kavita Devi's whole background is being a power lifter. So,
and trust me, she's big. She's a big girl. She makes Jazzy Gabbert actually look kind of small.
Oh, wow. That's exciting.
I feel like that's one of those things that really worked also. Speaking of which, we have some very big women. And I don't mean that in a negative way. Some of my favorites are the tallest of them and Piper Niven. You're going to see her later on in episode 3 or 4. Oh, man. Oh, man, dude. It's great.
Now, you know, we know that they always like, they embellish people's stats.
I mean, they do. They do. I'll give you that. Especially, I mean, look at Big
But-
Cass. Look at Undertaker.
Right. Where was I just looking? Oh yeah, Rhea Ripley,
Huge. I love that girl.
who
She's
we
tall.
both love. Now, they bill her as 6 foot, but she's only 5'8". So
She looks and feels the part, though, against a
But-
5-foot opponent. Let me tell you that.
she does, and boy, was she really, really great in her match. There was someone else that really surprised me, and it's not Marty Bell, even though we will talk about her
I
for sure.
Oh, man.
Just like we
Marty
will
Bell.
talk.
I mean, again, I don't want to get into spoiler territories, but that one was a surprise for me with how it worked out. I'll say that.
Yeah. Real surprise. Oh, okay. Episode 2 starts with a match with Mercedes Martinez, okay? She's one of the older veterans anyway, because she's 36. But if you want to talk about all these people who are veterans who have been doing it forever, she was at the very first Shimmer event against Sarah Del Rey, who's the NXT women's trainer. So if you're talking about someone who's got the history and someone who's going to do clean matches, who's absolutely top shelf, her match against Sarah Del Rey is one that you ought to go hunt down if you've never seen it. It was a 20-minute match that ran to a draw, and because they were, like I said, they were one of the biggest things. They got an ovation from the audience at the end of a 20-minute match. I mean, that's stuff you don't ever hear about anyway. So, wherever you see Mercedes, wherever you see her, you know that you're just going to
I
get
understand.
quality work.
I'm going to go ahead, and this is the point where I'm going to call out Reina Gonzalez. I'm going to call out Rachel Airy, who is actually Michael Erling's daughter. And there's one other
Yes.
third or second generation superstar, and that is oh god, who was it? It's the Blanchard. It's Tully Blanchard's daughter. And I found it was really cool that we did have some of these second and third generation female wrestlers in this tournament. That was a positive for me.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's beautiful to see that. Yeah, Erling is Paul
Apparently
Erling's daughter.
She is actually also currently
Manager of the...
the Lady of the Ring champion for Wrestle Circus. Which is really interesting to me because she
Wow.
works some enhancement talent matches in NXT. But the first time I ever actually saw her was jobbing on TNA. I found that weird.
Well, everybody jobs somewhere.
I mean, I understand that, but I mean, we're talking about, a second generation wrestler jobbing on TNA. Like, normally they push those kinds of people.
That's true. I think that's something that's always been overlooked a bit when it comes to women's wrestling, though, in general.
I agree. I understand where you're coming from. So, I mean, where do you want to go with this, Ruff? Where do you want to go next? We still have, I think, over half the competition to talk about.
Oh! Well,
Uh-huh.
Sage Beckett.
She was
Do you know who
also
she
on
is?
TNA at one point, right? Oh, God.
Yeah, and who was
She
she?
was trained by the Dudleys, I know they said. Obviously, they didn't talk about TNA.
Yeah? they didn't talk much anything about her TNA thing because her past is not the most enlightening. And if I give you her ring name, you probably will remember
I don't really
why.
remember it in TNA.
She was Rosie Lotta Love. Rosie was huge, and she lost 130 pounds.
Oh wow!
And she still is this big. She's a big girl, but she lost 130 pounds. She retired to focus on getting herself in better shape. And she took a 2-year retirement and came back in 2014. But her first match in TNA was a dark match where she injured Daphne, and that became a huge point of contention. If you want to talk about this whole thing about about Daphne always complaining that Rosie was dangerous and shouldn't be working in a ring and that kind of thing. Maybe they just gave her too
Daphne's
much too
also
soon
one
in
who
TNA.
just called out Sexy Star, right? Which I guess is our time as any to talk about it. What are your thoughts on this?
You know, if you're going to injure someone in the ring during a match, then you just need to be gone. It's just...
I understand where you come from. I do.
I can't get behind it. I mean, it's always been... Like, you know, JR was the first person I heard say that it's a dance, and it is, which means you got to trust your partner.
I don't disagree with you.
You go to hurt someone intentionally, you need to be gone.
I don't disagree with you at all.
That's not how this works. I mean, even with all of the bad blood and everything that went down between them, Matt Hardy and Edge didn't go unprofessional
You're right.
in the match.
And I think this is the perfect time to kind of segue into that, like, JR and Lita thing, because, like, man, JR and Lita are definitely a highlight for me of this right now.
It's a great announce team. Natural chemistry. Lita has really grown by leaps and bounds, especially since retiring from full time.
Oh yeah, she's definitely gone full circle, dude.
Like, she's great on the mic, and that's exciting and to see, because that means that she not just being as a Hall of Famer, but I feel like she will continue to have a place in the company, being active.
And sometimes that's the only thing we can hope for, especially with the people that we liked from the past.
Yeah.
Moving onwards again. I guess my question for you is, what is your feelings on... Oh, God. Shayna Baszler.
Baszler. I mean,
what? What? She's a former MMA person.
I want to love her. Started MMA matches in 2006. Was on Ultimate Fighter in 2013. She actually is contracted by WWE. So I think we're going to continue seeing her outside of this. She's 37. I think she is
37, and from what I understand, she's also the current AIW Women's Champion.
I think that...
So how does the contract work out?
I know, but I think that she's definitely the oldest in the entire pack.
Yeah.
But she's great in the ring, and she sells just the fact... she sells the fact that she's there to fight, and you know, she reminds me of someone who is known for ruthless aggression, and that immediately makes me like her.
I understand where you're coming from. I know, moving on. I'm sure you want to talk about Kairi Singh.
Kairi Sane. You told me elsewhere that you were confused by the pirate gimmick.
I am, dude. It's a weird gimmick.
I think it's more working with her than her wanting to be this character than anyone else. Because coming from the Orient, then you wind up with different influences. But she was competitive in kayaking for 7 years before she did anything when it comes to wrestling. And so she's got a natural love of the sea, and, you know, it's not just kayaking, but, you know, just sailing in general. So I don't know if she sees herself going beyond NXT, if she even stays with it. So who knows? But she's got an amazing finisher that you absolutely buy. When you talk,
it is a great finisher. I agree.
When you talk about a high flyer, this is more impressive than watching a 5-star frog splash. It looks better than a swanton, and as far as an elbow drop, it's higher and more exciting to watch than Shawn Michaels ever has been for me.
Well, okay. Moving onwards again. There's a lot of women to cover. You had 32 of them. Two I want to talk about.
Oh.
What?
Rhea Ripley.
You want to move back to Rhea Ripley?
There's one thing we got to say. Full Nelson Slam. Holy wow.
Oh, yeah. It's impressive, dude.
Oh, my.
She's impressive.
I mean, God, if you're going to talk about these big finishers from the big women, boy, that was exciting. I didn't see that coming at all. I wasn't expecting it. And boy, was it great.
It was a great, great move. There's actually 3 women I want to go through real quick. First one, Zhao Li. I will just tell you, Zhao Li impresses me in the ring. She's pretty. She's amazing.
Okay.
I don't really want to talk too much more about her right now.
Okay.
Mainly because you haven't gotten to see what happens to Zhao Li, and I'm not going to spoil what happens to Zhao Li. But I hope and look forward to seeing more of someone of her caliber.
Okay.
And I can't tell you some of the choices here. I really don't understand them. Like, Rachel Ellerling's one of those perfect examples of, like, I mean, I like her well enough, but I didn't expect her to make it past the first round.
Right.
So there's certain choices here that I don't understand.
I mean,
honestly,
this is going to be confusing anyway, because she is still signed to GFW.
Is she?
Yes.
Whatever. Anyways, moving on, Nicole Savoy.
Yeah.
AKA the Queen of Suplexes. She was the first Heart of Shimmer champion when she held that bitch for 462 days.
I mean, yeah.
She's pretty. She's violent. She's got a mean streak like a motherfucker. And let me tell you something, man. That match she has, the match she has in episode 4, it is, oh man. It is unexpected as the least of statements I can make. It's just one of those matches where you're just not sure how it could go. And she's fighting Rena Gonzalez, who we said was a third-generation wrestler.
Right.
Who is, interestingly enough, gimmicked out the ass.
Yeah.
And is yet again another big, big girl.
She
Not in a negative way.
She is 6 foot and 176 pounds. That's not a billing
She literally
weight.
built like her daddy and her granddaddy.
That's not a billing weight. That's an actual weight. She is 176 pounds.
And again, all I can tell you about Nicole Savoy is, again, I can't wait to see her wrestle more. That is one of those ones that I will tell you I definitely want to see more of in the years to come.
Who's your third?
Mae Young, a.k.a. Jade.
Yeah.
From TNA.
Yeah.
I love Jade. I've loved Jade for a while since I first got introduced to her in TNA. She's crazy. She's violent. She's survived domestic abuse. And she's an advocate for victim services. I mean, look, she's overcome a lot in her life.
Yeah.
And I feel like she's pretty fucking awesome, dude.
This is also her second time because she was in NXT Developmental in 2014. So she did that for a hot minute before TNA snatched her up so that she could be in the dollhouse.
But yeah, I mean, I'm definitely a fan.
Yeah.
I'm a huge fan. And I hope WWE actually signs her. I mean, she's only 28.
Right. I mean, she's got room to go. You know, as much as they've talked about Rachel Erling, did they talk?
Yeah.
Did they talk about Tessa Blanchard at all?
They did talk about Tessa Blanchard some. They talked about her daddy. They talked about her granddaddy. They even talked about how T.A. Magnum's basically the man who raised her.
Yeah, stepdaddy.
So, I mean, they really got into that whole thing, dude, and how her life's been all about wrestling. I mean, she puts on a great match, dude. I will tell you that. She puts on a great match. I'm going to go into some spoiler territory, actually, at this point.
Okay.
Now, I know we were talking about not spoiling anything, but, look, the very last match of episode 4 is Kairi Singh.
Yeah.
And I'm not even going to tell you who Kairi Singh fights, because it doesn't matter. What I'm going to tell you is that Kairi Singh wins. And I feel like it was a terrible place to end the first 4 episodes, because who the fuck saw her losing?
Yeah.
Who really believed that she was going to lose?
It's like watching WCW and ending the show with Goldberg.
And, I mean, I like Kairi Sane. I do well enough. But I really liked who she fought, too, Tessa Blanchard. Where, again, we get into Tessa's background.
Right.
And, I mean, I don't know. It was kind of a weird choice for me. I felt like it was kind of a weird choice.
Kind of feel like Tessa's being, like, one of those people, like, they always say that she's not quite there. I mean, she's been signed. This is her second or third time with WWE. She was a Rosebud.
She was a Rosebud, too?
She was a Rosebud, yep.
So was Jade.
There we go.
What? Was everybody a Rosebud? Yeah, I guess so.
I guess so.
You know, now I just want to look at the list of who all were Rosebuds.
That's interesting. That's a good question.
But continuing on, what did you want to talk about?
Sarah Logan, you'll see her again, even though she's been eliminated. I am sure you will see her again. She's had a contract already with WWE for a year, and if you were watching The Independents, then you probably know her better as Crazy Mary Dobson. And I'm sure if you ever read PWI or any of those, you've seen her name more than once. And I feel like she told a great story in her match. So she definitely is a great competitor, and sold bumps really well and sold a lot of power. And
I mean, I think that was across the board. Everybody really did.
That's true. That's true. I'll tell you something that's interesting too. They keep making a big noise in all of these promos about Toni Storm from Australia. She is still signed with her contract over there, so I don't know if they have already bought her out and it's being kept quiet, but
I had a lot of fun with her. She's real interesting and real young.
yeah, she's 21. Let me look quick. See, oh no, Rhea Ripley's the youngest because she's 20, but Toni Storm is 21. So
And I think she's
really,
wrestled
really young.
in 18
As
countries,
opposed-
they said, during bracketology.
Yeah. Just ridiculous. I mean, who do we hear about that? Have we heard anything like that since
I don't think so.
Paige? Like wrestling everywhere before you're old enough to
Yeah.
drink.
So, big
So-
names who were rosebuds. Alexa, Becky Lynch, Braun Strowman, Bull Dempsey, Chastity Taylor, apparently from Shine. Kalisto did it.
Huh.
I mean, seriously. Leva Bates did it. For y'all you Blue Pants fans. Jay did it. Really a bunch of people over the years. Simon Gotch, Solomon Crow, Tessa Blanchard. Thea Trinidad did it multiple times. I mean, I don't know, dude. I just think it's kind of funny. Actually, here's another one. Renee Michelle, who also is in the Mae Young Classic, totally did it. So half the women in the Mae Young Classic might have been rosebuds.
So on it goes.
They might have been rosebuds. Just saying.
Crazy to look at. I mean, I'm not trying to spoil anything, but I'm going to take a quick look through my list, and I'm going to count up how many
Okay.
people are
I mean,
currently signed.
you're
without
going to
giving
ask me to
names.
take a guess while you're doing this. I'm going to tell you out of 32, I want to say you 20 of them are signed off you. Not even necessarily to the WWE. Because we actually... Oh, signed to the WWE? I think
Well, I'm
5
talking
of them are from
WWE.
NXT.
Who is signed to the
And
company
what's
now.
ironic is that we show off 2 new girls who are signed to NXT in the middle of the Mae Young Classic who are not actually going to be in the Mae Young Classic. I was close.
I've got 8 on my list.
I don't know how to feel about that.
Yep. So one fourth of them are still signed to the company. I feel like it's kind of like
I figure whoever wins is going to be signed to the company.
I don't. Well, yeah, but I mean, I don't feel like the Mae Young Classic is about thinning the herd. I think it's more like giving a chance for people to get
I
familiar
agree
with
with you.
them
I agree with you.
before they
Look,
get.
I feel like there's some very talented
placed
women in
somewhere.
this. There are some amazing women. They're all beautiful and unique in their own little ways. Some of my most exciting moments have been from some of the biggest girls in this competition. Not the most petite, but at the same time, somehow the most interesting women in there. There are women in there who I don't even give a shit about at all. There's a couple. It's an interesting thing. The only woman I think we haven't talked about yet is Shayna Deep. No, Deep. It's Shayna Deep, isn't
Baszler?
it? Serena Deep. My bad.
Oh, Serena Deeb.
I'm sure you would like to cover that one.
That's okay. It's. Oh yeah. She was the one who got her head shaved in the Straight Edge Society in 2010. She's been in the. She started in the Independents in 2005. I love her. I think that she looks better now than she ever has. I know you're of another opinion. a lot of
I
her,
definitely like that shaved head look on a woman sometimes. Just saying.
a lot of her looking so fit and so cut is that she is not full time at all. She's a yoga instructor, but I will tell you now that I've never seen her wrestle better than she does in the Mae Young Classic. And if she wants to pick it back up, she absolutely can and run with anybody.
I understand. I understand where you come from. Look, at this point, we've gone about 45 minutes. We need to start wrapping things up. Are there any other women that we haven't really talked about that you want to get to yet?
Santana G.
Okay.
I mean, she is a long timer. If you're a TNA fan, then you knew her as Brittany with 2 T's. She's been with Shine since 2012, and she still is signed with them. So if you like what you see her doing in the Mae Young Classic, she's another one of those people that competed against Sarah Del Rey. If you want to, if you like what you saw in the Mae Young Classic, then definitely go check out Shine.
All right,
Shine and
all right,
Shimmer
okay,
are
so-
great promotions.
Fuck you. Fuck this. I've been pissed the fuck off, Ruff. I've been
What?
mad. I've been mad ever since Mercedes Martinez came out on Bracketology, and they said she's the greatest women's wrestler of all time, and Sarah Del Rey still exists.
Yeah.
I've been mad. I really don't understand why Sarah Del Rey didn't show up at all.
I mean, I haven't seen her ringside, and that's a travesty. I mean, so many of the people in this in this whole promotion are people that she has done matches with, and not just matches. She's done feuds with so many of them, and yeah, her presence is definitely missed. Like they'll show Beth Phoenix ringside.
Oh my god, I will talk about that for a second. Beth Phoenix and Natalya could practically be fucking twins, just Natty's got a bigger head. I never
That's
really
for sure.
remembered how much they looked alike until they were sitting side by side again like that, and like how they've aged together. Almost
Yeah.
identical faces. It's weird.
Like full on sistership.
Yeah, they definitely look like they were related.
Yeah. And they were best friends then, and they're still best friends, and that's beautiful to see. But it's like Beth Phoenix made it ringside.
I would like to have seen her come back.
Naomi showed up.
Yeah, Naomi showed up. Alexa showed up. Not only did Nia Jax show up, but The Rock's youngest niece showed up also with Nia Jax. And that was one of those awkward ass moments because Nia Jax looked like Nia Jax looked like a soccer mom. Like she's standing there, she's got a big old purse on. I really didn't know what to do with that.
That's a problem because anytime you're around the company, you're representing the company.
I feel like she should go out there, and I mean, I think this is one of those Nia Jax problems in general. She needs to play up her prettiness. She shouldn't go out there looking plain ever. I don't feel like that, and I think that's part of her problem with her current gimmick. She's got that real interesting opening, and then she walks out, and she's in a one-piece giant piece of leather.
Yeah.
And it's not sexy,
I mean,
and it's not very flattering.
They do need to play it up because she's been a model.
And she has. I know she has. So, I mean, I don't understand why they don't play that up further.
I mean, that would be good for business. That's good for business
Especially
on
when
WWE's
her
part.
theme
if they're
song
gonna-
starts out with, like, oh, this pretty look in my eyes or some shit, and it's just the eyes, and then it's her, and then, like, they want to do the model thing with her, but then they don't want to do the model thing with her. Look, I feel like taking the model route with Nia Jax is actually a good route because she's such a big girl that it takes it in a different way. And it's a positive way. It's a positive way for the young female fans who are watching to be like, oh, you know, I don't have to maintain a certain body image. Piper Niven's going to be one of the most interesting women you see battle in this entire thing. And she's not going to be your typical size 3. No way in hell. And that's okay. It is totally okay.
Right.
It's never been a question of, oh man, Naya's just this big, doofy looking. It's not the question of how big Naya is. It's the fact that they make her look doofy as shit.
Right.
And it's one of those things about the Mae Young Classic I do like. I do feel like the quality of the program is lower than the Cruiserweight Classic. Like production values? Yes.
You mean the production end? Maybe that's about trying to keep the focus on the matches.
Maybe it's because the WWE network sucks. Because I'm going to be honest with you. I don't think I've gotten 1080p HD, and I have a plugged-in Ethernet cable to my PS4 the entire time I've been watching this.
It's been interesting that in the main roster, Raw and SmackDown, after the introductions, when it's time for the match, the lights go on the room. And here, they dim the lights.
I kind of dig that, I'm going to be honest.
I mean, that gives it a bit of an underground feel, but also I feel like it's good because it really makes you focus on what's happening in the ring. I think that's better for the way the match is run.
All right. We are, as I said, needing to wrap this up, close this out. Top 5 to win it. Give them to me.
Oh. Well, it depends on who's still in it. Depending on
Doesn't
what
matter
you've
what,
already seen.
Knowing what you know, top 5 to win it.
I love Baszler, but she's not the look they love.
Okay.
Rhea Ripley, that's more like what they want.
I mean, I like Ripley.
Maybe Toni Storm as a surprise since they keep hyping her. Kairi Sane, of course, of favorites. It would surprise me if she doesn't go to the final. I love Dakota Kai.
I like Kai. I can give you that.
Yeah. Kimberly.
Yeah.
Abby Lath.
That's 6. You're done. You're cut off. You cut off.
Okay.
My top 5 to win it. Right?
Okay.
Obviously, I'm not a Martinez fan, so I'm definitely not going to give you Martinez. I love Jade, like I told you. I love Nicole Savoy. Great choices. Underdog to win it, who I would love to see win it, but I don't think they're going to give it to because of what she looks like. Piper Niven. I'm telling you, man. I believe in her. She has a certain style and looking like that. I dig it.
Piper's got the same kind of issue that Sheena does? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Like it's not the look that they're going for?
Exactly. I don't think they're going to go with her because she is one of the bigger girls, but she's cool in my book. Abby Lath, that's my number 4. We both agreed on that one, man. Like, that's competitor. I love Kimberly. I love her. She's great. My number 5, Lacey Evans. She just seems like the most likely one to win. They're playing up the mom angle. They're playing up the All-American angle.
Yeah.
She is a face that I can see going somewhere in the WWE very far.
She's a great package, and she's a great wrestler.
No, I agree. I agree with you.
Oh, and Bombshell without being a size 4 either.
They are all just great. I would love to see Rhea Ripley go somewhere though, but I don't see her making it all the way.
Yeah.
And Dakota Kai, I agree with you there too. But like I said, now that was my 5. My most expected My most expected, if you ask me right off the top of my head after watching Bracketology, who I think they're going to put all the way to the top, was Lacey Evans. And, I mean, that's the most I'm going to give you without going into spoiler territory and discussing how this actually is going to end. And like always, this was Kayfabe Gimmicks, and this was our thoughts on the Mae Young Classic, which should have been announced on Monday, but it wasn't.
Bad booking as far, well, bad promoting of the booking.
I mean, seriously.
Great card, great planning, poor execution as far as how they actually
Especially
released.
since they don't want to do a UK show, because they feel like there's not enough interest in 205 Live, but then they don't promote this very well either.
Right. I mean, are they just trying to prove that the audience will come find it regardless of how badly they promote?
I don't know.
I mean, if they're wanting a product that sells itself, I already feel like this does. When the Revolution started, before the Revolution came over to the main roster, you had chants in NXT where the crowd would chant women's wrestling. So the audience is there. There's no need to question it.
Well, as always, this has been Kayfabe Gimmicks. Ruff Lee's talking about something in the background. And next week, he's going to teach me how to build a birdhouse.
So...
That was last week.
So...
Shit. Next week, he's going to teach me how to build a doghouse. For next time my wife's mad at me. Y'all have a great night. As always, you can find him at Real Ruff Lee on Twitter, Instagram, Tumblr, everything except Reddit. You can find me at Kayfabe Gimmicks on Twitter. And as always, we love you guys. Find us on our Facebook page. Shout out to Brandon Bam Bam Corleone Johnson. Once again, the Kayfabe champion. You're going to have a chance to knock his ass down a peg at no mercy if you come join us at our event. We're going to do a scorecard like always. And as always, this has been sNooVa. And y'all have a great night. Peace out, bitches.